And he told me his PSA's just as good. Oh, hey, King. Long time no see. I want to talk to you today about some beautiful Italian
Gorlami.
The Beretta M9A4, the gun that should have won the US military contract. So that's a pretty bold statement, you say, Sass. But here is the thing. It's an absolute riot. So some bold statements have been made about the Beretta. What we're gonna do is we're gonna break this down. We're gonna talk about how this firearm shoots. The trigger pull, the recoil impulse, the build quality. It's also important to stay fit, Kings. I want to break this pistol down into multiple categories to really show you guys what the Army actually missed out on. Pardon the interruption, but I need to tell you about a new friend here of the channel. Isn't that right, Bob? Guys, it's Badlands Munitions Company, based right out of Arizona, here in the United States. No foreign manufacturing, all for the homies. Guys, you get 10% off now. Permanently. You got match 5.56 ammo, there's 85 grain and 77 grain, there's 9mm ammo, jello shots, plinking ammo, self-defense ammo. Whether it's for range use or match use, Badlands has got you covered. And guys, with code 110SAS, you now get 10% off all ammo purchases and even some of the small goods. It's the homies making ammo for the homies. Small batch ammo, and just like you and me, love to have fun. So, first thing is first, we got to talk about this gorgeous, tactical, ultra drip, Gucci, FDE, 50 shades of flat dark earth color scheme we've got here. Now, all of the military contract guns, whether it was the 19X, the SIG P320, or the Beretta here, they all had to be flat dark earth. I don't know if it was a requirement that each one had to be different colors of flat dark earth. I think that's very interesting because they're all not uniformly colored. So first thing I want to talk about is the trigger pull. You guys know me, I'm a real FUD for a good trigger. And the Beretta has a fantastic trigger, but here's the thing, it's double action. Let's talk about that. So we know what a double action trigger is, but how does that apply to this Beretta? Does that make it an awful firearm, or does it make it pretty useful? Okay, so if you're anything like me, you just gotta see it to believe it. I can't just listen to somebody talk, I gotta see it. So, let's look at this trigger, come on now. What we have here with the hammer back, it's considered a single action weapon. Two-stage, 1911 style hammer-fired pistol. We have a considerable amount of take up here. However, when we get to the break, this is your wall right here. The pull is a little heavy, it's not too bad, but look how crispy this is. Not too bad. Now, let's talk about the reset. The reset isn't too bad. Come forward a little bit. Oh, not bad. Come forward. You can ride this reset really well to help you get some better split times and also better controlled groups and better controlled pairs. Now, here's the thing with the double action. So essentially, there is no safety on this weapon, if you will. This guy up here may look like a safety. It's just a decocker. That's all it does. So at this point, the gun can't be fired without, you guessed it, pulling the trigger. So in this mode here, it's considered double action. Double action means, again, just like we described, I have to pull all the way from the front here, all the way to the back before it breaks. And what's weird is, you see, that's where it broke. To reset it, all the way back up again. Now, this pull, it's heavy. I would consider it probably 6 to 8 pounds probably. So what's odd about a double action is that there's really no definitive wall. It's just one really long, kind of heavy pull. I would say, again, about 6 to 8 pounds, and to be quite frank, it's pretty miserable. It's a miserable kind of trigger pull. What I would compare it to is like shooting a double action revolver. It's pretty much identical to that, really. In order to shoot like a double action kind of fast, you kind of have to do the whole slap the trigger thing, if you will, because there isn't really much of a reset from here to go back. So the double action, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of sucks. I don't really care for double action pistols, if I'm being quite honest. I think it's kind of a waste. Give me either a single action or give me nothing, essentially. So we're gonna shoot this with the hammer back 9 times out of 10. Actually, I'm gonna call it 10 times out of 10 because I don't want to ever have the hammer down on this weapon if I ever need to use it. So this is it. Just simply here, a decent amount of take up here before you hit the wall, but a good, solid, crispy break. Reset. Solid. HOA officer. Now you're probably asking yourself, what was the whole reason for that threaded barrel? Well, now we know. So part of the contract was they had to have a threaded barrel on these weapons. And well, you see as to why. For quiet ops. It's a absolute riot to run this gun with a can on it. And what makes it so dope is this is a fantastic host for this weapon. And what I think makes it so great is the barrel is absolutely stationary. So when we shoot this guy here, check this out. It's not like your typical Browning style tilt up lock barrel. This barrel stays stationary while the whole slide just moves back. I think that really adds to the reliability of this weapon with a can on it. And not to mention too, guys, oh my goodness, it is so much fun. It's so quiet. You kind of just feel like, I don't know, like Assassin's Creed or something like that. You're just, It's so quiet. I don't know, it's just so much fun. Okay guys, let's talk about reliability next. So over the past, I would say 4 to 5 weeks that I've owned this weapon, it has seen just over 3,200 rounds through it. And here's the thing guys, not a single hiccup through this weapon, period. Guys, not a failure to extract, not a failure to feed, double feed, you name it. Guys, we ran this thing with a can, without a can, ran 147 grain ammo through it, 115 grain ammo through it. It just kept working. And here is the coolest part. That entire time, this entire time of 3,200 rounds, guys, not a single drop of lube added to this thing. And it still feels nice and smooth and functions fine. I find that particularly very impressive, especially considering running it with a can on it. So it's not too often I run a can on a pistol. And the biggest thing is, well, it just becomes this big, awkward kind of, just an awkward, awful handling thing right in between a PCC and a pistol. And with that can added onto the end of that thing, it just becomes super awkward, front heavy. I would just much rather have some sort of sub gun at that point. So yeah, it's not too often I run one with it. And here's the thing, a lot of extra gas is gonna be pushed back and there's just not a lot of extra places for it to go. So it goes up into the RMR there, it goes back into your face. Any of you guys that ever shot a pistol with a can, yeah, you probably know what I'm talking about. Make sure to wear your eye pro because you're gonna be getting hit with just some junk. So yeah, it's just not super ideal. But here's the thing, you're getting hit with all of that. Where is the rest of that stuff going? It's going into the gun. It's getting all fouled up in the chamber. It's getting fouled up in the slide to frame fitment. Everything, it's just getting covered in extra gunk. And this gun continues to run. It's just not something you would expect from a weapon that's fitted well to run and run and run without any lube added, without any cleaning. So when we first got it, the first thing I did to it was strip it down, kind of look at it and see the build quality and stuff like that, and then just added some lube and went to work from there. And it's just, man, it's really impressive. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to do that. You know, a lot of people talk about like Glocks and other striker fired pistols, you know, that can kind of run as dirt as lube. Well, this guy just might be able to as well. So here's the thing with the Beretta, and it's a little frustrating because people kind of seem to think like it's this brand new thing, it's kind of this weird gun, so on and so forth. But The military has used it since the 80s. It is time and time again proven itself in combat, training scenarios, you name it. Law enforcement, it was the premier weapon of all law enforcement, and really until the mid to late 2000s, and Glock started to come along. So the thing of it is that it gets a relatively bad rep. And what's funny is because those guns right around that time frame that like everybody starts saying, oh, Glock is the best, Glock is so much better, these guns were starting to get, just simply put, worn the F down. Like these guns, it's nothing to see 50, 60, 70, 80,000 rounds through some of these military guns, through some of these agency guns. And people get them and they're like, dude, I can't get it to run for nothing. It's just a hunk of junk. Like, yeah, probably should have been rebuilt like, I don't know, 40,000 rounds ago. You're running on original springs, original barrel, original everything. Yeah, it's probably time to start fixing some stuff. So I feel like they just kind of got a bad rep because all of them were nearing the end of their service life 10 years before the actual end of their service life. So when Glock comes through and SIG comes through and all of these other brand new brands, they're like, oh my God, they do it so much better. Do they? Do they actually do it better? Or is it something like, it's new, it's fancy to us? Yeah, we're doing that. So, which kind of leads me to my next point here, is just the overall build quality of this. So we know it's a reliable firearm. It's been very reliable for me, and it's proven itself decade after decade, over 4 decades of service, just in the United States, let alone across the pond. So the overall build quality of this firearm, I gotta say, it's extremely impressive. It's very, very impressive how well these firearms are built, and especially at the price point they come in at. So I would say at the price point that these things come. So on the used market, what I would expect is somewhere between $500 to $750, and that includes the M9A4 to just the regular M9. So you can get yourself a very, very good quality firearm for around that $500 mark, and you can also go and get that super cool flat dark earth tactical drip for, you know, $750, maybe sometimes $800 if you got all the cool fancy box that it comes with and everything. But I think for that price range, I think you get a hell of a gun, a very, very well built gun. Even if you look at it brand new, they're pushing right around $900 to $1,000. I think you get a lot of bang for your buck. Let's compare it to a Glock. A Glock's gonna be right around $650 to $700. That's not cheap. It is cheaper than the Beretta, sure. But here's the thing. Immediately, what are you gonna change out of the box with the Glock? You're gonna change the trigger. What's that gonna cost? $150 to $200. You're probably gonna change the slide stop, and you're gonna change the mag button. There's another $100 probably between those two, maybe more. Yeah, you're right there with the Beretta. And those things out of the box, I don't think they need messed with at all. And even the best Glock trigger that I have ever felt, which is Johnny Glock's, is nowhere near as crisp and as smooth and as fast braking and fast resetting as a stock Beretta. And if you wanted to mod that thing up, Langdon Tactical is the folks to do that because they specialize in everything Beretta, making it go fast, real fast. So there's even options for that to actually kind of make this your real deal primary weapon that you want to put a lot of money into, compete with, or just have a really nice weapon. And it's okay to have that. Like, yeah, you should do that if that's what you want. So heck yeah. So build quality and reliability. I really think that these two things are outstanding. So I think the military really went wrong with these two fires because I've handled the Glock 19Xs. I've handled the SIG P320s or the M17 and the M18. And well, the SIG rollout of the P320, you guys know, a lot of issues with that weapon. In fact, they just settled an $11 million lawsuit not that long ago because somebody was carrying one in the holster going up some stairs or something like that and it went off. Yeah, kind of dangerous. That's pretty dangerous, buddy. Glock, yeah, Glock is Glock. You guys probably know my stance on Glock by now. If you watched last week's video, if you haven't, go watch that. I just don't think Glocks are the best firearms out there. They're very, very reliable, absolutely, but I think there are so many more firearms in the same price range that do Glock reliability just as good, but everything else much, much better. So I don't know. I think maybe a mixture of the military just wanting something new, fresh, clean slate maybe. Can't quite really say other than I think they went wrong. I think the Beretta was the right choice for that contract. It's proven itself 4 decades before. So I really only have two gripes with the Beretta. The double action trigger, we've already discussed that. Just make it a single action gun. I don't think it needs to be double action. It's whatever. The second thing is probably the optic cut system. So just the way that the Beretta is designed, there's just not a lot of meat on the bone. And when I say meat on the bone, there's literally just not enough metal to work with on the top of that slide there to actually mill out and get a good foundation and get those screws set in place to secure an optic on there without it coming loose every 5 shots. So it's a little tough, and it's pretty much all they could do because that's what they had to work with. It does work though. It works perfectly fine. Get it put on there, get you some drops of Vibrotite on each one of those screws, and you will be fine. We haven't had any issues with it whatsoever with all of our testing. So it's been fine. It's just, you know, maybe not aesthetically pleasing, but it doesn't really matter because it simply works. When you present the firearm, it works. It's there. Your dot is there. It's easy to find. So, gentlemen, I think we have a wrap on this. Army, you did wrong. I think you should have gone with the Beretta. Guys, tell me what you think in the comments below. Tell me how stupid I am. Tell me how wrong I am. Or tell me, yeah, you might just be right. You might be onto something here. So, guys, that's the end of the episode. Say it with me. Run your gun and not your mouth. We'll catch you next time.